You know that feeling, right? You're in a big meeting, and this incredible game-changing strategy gets rolled out. It looks perfect on paper. Everyone's nodding, everyone's fired up. But then you fast forward a few months, and, well, nothing's really changed. That brilliant plan is still just a plan, collecting dust. It's one of the biggest frustrations in business, and today we're going to break down exactly how to fix it. And this quote, man, it just nails the feeling, doesn't it? It's that sense that you're just shooting in the dark. There's a ton of activity, a lot of money is being spent, but there's this huge gap between all that busy work and the big picture goals. And let me tell you, that's not a sign of a bad strategy. It's the sign of a broken execution process. And this isn't just a hunch people have. The data really backs this up. A survey of management practices found that a full 50% of organizations don't even link their strategy to their budgets. Think about that for a second. Half of all companies are pretty much flying blind, just hoping that their day-to-day actions somehow, magically, line up with where they want to be in 5 years. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to build a bridge right across that gap. We'll start by really understanding the problem, then we'll introduce the key to creating real momentum. After that, we'll walk through a super practical 3-step process for choosing, funding, and managing your strategy. And finally, we'll look at the incredible results you get when you do it right. First up, let's dig into why this even happens. Why do these amazing plans so often get stuck in the mud? Well, it turns out there's a really powerful, kind of invisible force at work inside every single company. The best way to think about it is through a little physics. An organization's daily operations, all the stuff that keeps the lights on, creates this powerful inertia. So just like Newton's law says, without some big outside force pushing it in a new direction, the company will just keep doing what it's always done. Your big long-term strategy gets completely steamrolled by the urgency of today. Okay, so if inertia is the problem, what's the force we need to overcome it? The answer is something called strategic initiatives. These are the engines that are actually going to launch your strategy and get it moving. Now, let's be super clear about what these are. Strategic initiatives are not your everyday operational projects. They're different. These are specific, temporary programs created for one single powerful reason: to close the gap between where your company is today and where your strategy says you need to be. So if the strategy is the what, these initiatives, they're the how. So it all boils down to these 3 core processes. You need a system to choose the right initiatives, a way to fund them properly, and, of course, a structure to establish accountability to make sure they actually get done. We're going to walk through each one right now. All right, let's jump into step 1, choosing. You see, most companies don't have a shortage of projects. In fact, it's usually the opposite. They have way, way too many, and that's the real problem. Take a look at this chart. This is the before picture, and it's a mess. See all those projects with no X next to them? Those are basically orphan projects, totally disconnected from the company's strategy. Now, look at that theme, grow our customer base. It has no X's at all. It's a strategy with no engine. To give you a real-world taste of this initiative explosion, get this. Back in the late 90s, the online banking team at Wells Fargo had over 600 active initiatives. The executive team was spending half a day every single week just trying to get a handle on the list. It's completely unsustainable. And this is what we're aiming for. This is the after picture. The goal is to stop thinking of initiatives as some giant laundry list and start seeing them as integrated portfolios. See how clean that is? Every single initiative is tied directly to a strategic theme. The focus is crystal clear, and you're not wasting time and money on stuff that doesn't move the needle. Let's move on to step 2. Once you've picked the right initiatives, you've got to pay for them. And this is where that epic battle between the long-term future and the short-term present gets really, really intense. Okay, so traditionally, budgets are split into 2 main buckets, right? You've got OpEx for daily operations and CapEx for big assets. The problem is your new strategic projects have to fight for whatever scraps are left over. And you know what happens when things get tight? They're the very first things to get cut. The solution? A third category, STRATEX, or strategic expenditures. This creates a protected, dedicated fund just for your strategy. And here's what that looks like in the real world. See how STRATEX becomes its own line item? Right there in the financial forecast? It's not some afterthought. It's a planned, deliberate investment in where the company is headed. This one simple change acts like a shield, protecting your strategy from those inevitable short-term pressures. Now for the final and maybe the most crucial step of them all. You've chosen the initiatives, you've funded them,
But who? Who is actually responsible for making sure they happen? Because the answer can't just be everybody.
The solution is to create a couple of new roles designed specifically for this. First, you've got theme owners. These are senior leaders who take on what's called a night job, owning a strategic theme. Their job is to make sure it succeeds across all the different business silos. And then, supporting them, you have theme teams. These are cross-functional groups, the real link between the high-level strategy and the actual work that needs to get done. I absolutely love this quote from a president at Luxfer Gas Cylinders. It just captures the vibe perfectly. These teams aren't about top-down orders. They're about bringing people together from marketing, from finance, from operations, and getting them to collaborate, to influence each other, and to learn how to play together to create something amazing. So, we've covered the 3 steps. Choose, fund, and create accountability. When you get these right, you unlock something called the execution premium, which is just a fancy way of saying you get the incredible, tangible value that was promised when that strategy was first created. So what does that actually look like? Check this out. This number represents the University of Leeds. After they put a framework like this into place, they jumped 41 places in the world university rankings. And that didn't happen over a decade. It happened in one single year. And how'd they do it? Well, they built a clear strategy map, just like this one. They created a big strategic theme, like Inspire Our Students. Then they built a whole portfolio of initiatives around it called Students Really Matter. Things like a new student portal, a mentoring program, and they assign clear ownership. It's the whole framework in action. So let's wrap it all up. Here's your 3-step playbook. First, choose your initiatives by bundling them into focused portfolios that serve your strategic themes. Second, fund the strategy by creating that protected, dedicated STRATEX budget. And third, assign clear accountability with theme owners and theme teams. And that really brings us to the final question you should be asking yourself and your organization. Is your strategy a beautiful document that's just meant to be admired on a shelf? Or is it a living, breathing, funded, and accountable plan that is actually built to move? Because the difference between those two, well, it's everything.